Hey, sister, this is Misty Williams, founder of HealingRosie.com, and I'm so excited to welcome you to Rosie Radio. Tune in to find clarity, direction, and hope for your healing. New episodes drop every Tuesday. We created this show to empower you to regain control of your life and feel like yourself again. Yes, sister, it is possible. You guys, I have been so excited to do this interview with my friend Reed Davis because it is a constant refrain I get asked by women in our community. How do I find a good root cause practitioner that can help me get to the bottom of what's happening? I'm thinking about my cousin who has been working with a chiropractor who has some IFM certification, Institute of Functional Medicine certification down in San Antonio. And from my perspective, she's been spinning her wheels, trying to get better, inching forward, right? But not getting the traction that she really needs. I'm thinking about a girlfriend in town who has worked with a naturopathic doctor here in Austin to get to the root cause and spent lots and lots of money on different labs and testing. And from my perspective, peeking over her shoulder, what's happening, the practitioner that she's working with, while she is a naturopathic doctor, is not running the labs that need to be run to find out what is that? What are those deep stressors, right? That are really keeping her stuck. And she's frustrated and overwhelmed. She has some of the same issues that I do. And in fact, she had to move out of a moldy apartment a few years ago. And of course, my thing is, you've got to figure out if you've got mold in your system. I'm pretty sure she does, but she needs to find someone to work with on this, right? I'm thinking about all the women in our community, the people in Healing Rosie University that talk to me about the experiences they're having with their doctors. Maybe I need to find an endocrinologist because these are hormone issues that I'm having, or maybe I need to find some kind of specialist to help me figure out what's going on in my body. How do I go to my medical doctor and have them look at the stuff that, we're discovering here in the natural health space and get them to do something about it? It is maddening trying to find a practitioner to help. And one of the things that has been life-changing for me is having a practitioner who understands how to go deep and find those root causes, uncover what's really happening, especially every single person. If you're working with someone that's supposed to help you with root cause issues, every person needs a practitioner who understands toxicity and what to do if they uncover it or find it. If you're working with the doctor or practitioner and they tell you things like, I don't really work with mold, or I don't really work with metals, I work with other things. That practitioner may have something to offer some people, but from the lens of knowing that the root cause for all of us is usually something like that, you need someone who knows how to uncover that stuff and can help you eradicate it once you find it. So I reached out to Reed because this is a conversation I am just chomping at the bit to have. I want you all to feel really supported when it comes to finding a practitioner to help you get to the bottom of what's going on. I also know there are people in our community who have had their lives transformed by the natural health space and working with really amazing practitioners. And you feel like I feel, you are ready to give back. You want to give back to others what has been given to you. When you get your health back, you get a whole new lease on life. And it is for some of us, this responsibility that we feel we need to pay it forward by helping other people. And there's a lot of programs out there, right? There's a lot of programs and a lot of different kinds of certifications. What should you do? What should you take to really be able to make the biggest difference for people? Reed and I are going to talk about some of the different programs that are out there, how they compare to each other, to help you hone in on what's really going to be right for you. So I'm super excited that Reed is here. Reed is a board-certified holistic health practitioner and certified nutritional therapist. He's an expert in functional lab testing and holistic lifestyle medicine. He's the founder of Functional Diagnostic Nutrition and the FDN certification course with over 4,000 graduates in 50 countries. He has served as the health director at a wellness center in Southern California for over 10 years, and with over 10,000 clients is known as one of the most experienced clinicians in his field. Welcome, Reed.
Hey, thanks for having me here.
I'm so excited to peel back the layers on this conversation.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yes. And from the moment I met you, I knew that what you guys did over at FDN was different, and you're really serving a need in the marketplace. I think that if everyone knew, would really alleviate a lot of the frustrations that they have spinning their wheels, going from doctor to doctor to doctor, especially when they're trying to leverage their health insurance, which I totally get that. I totally get wanting to leverage your health insurance to pay for as much as possible. And I also see that sometimes that criteria can keep you stuck and keep you from really being able to get to the bottom of what's happening. So let's start this conversation by talking a little bit about the field of health coaching. Over the last decade, it has mushroomed into this, whole arena. Yep. I know a lot of practitioners. I'm thinking of Dr. Michael Ruzio pops into my head as someone who in his practice uses health coaches extensively to basically help provide a lot of the support and handholding for his patients that he doesn't have time personally to provide because he's working with so many patients, but he wants them to be taken care of. There's a lot of doctors and practitioners in our space who run their practices that way using health coaches. And there's a lot of health coaches that have their own, their own communities, kind of like we have here with Healing Rosie, who are adding a lot of value. So why don't you just start us with the health coaching conversation? What's the difference? What kind of health coaching certifications are available, and how does one differ from the other?
Good question. And I could just tell you, generally speaking, there are two major factions, if you want, of health coaches. I've determined this over a long period of time, trying to sort out where do we fall, my FDN practitioners, where do we fall in this big picture? And we lean towards independent health coaching. So you're going to find an individual who's been really well trained. If they're trained by me, they're well trained, well schooled. They know everything you need to know about health, let's say, building health, what labs to run, what the results mean to a person, and hooking that person up with those test results, making sure it explains why they feel the way they are. So independent health coaches are they're independent. They're usually entrepreneurs. They work their own hours. They charge their own fees, whatever they need to charge to live the way they want to live. So there's independent. And I think they are among some of the just smartest, most helpful, caring, considerate, professional people that you're going to find. It's really an amazing field, the independent health coaching. Now, there's also what I'm calling institutional health coaching, where they work for an institution, a doctor. They've got, they're basically to carry out the setting goals, active listening, motivation, positive psychology, things to get you to do whatever that practitioner says they should be doing.
Right.
Now, for instance, none of my folks really want that job. The ones that I train, they love
Right.
being health entrepreneurs, and again, it's kind of working your own hours and setting your own prices and times and things like that. So, and again, I think they're the most helpful overall, because the other institutional coaches are still following the orders of the doctors and the other practitioners whose systems are failing the people. Those systems are failing. The only study being done right now, Misty, by the National Institute of Health on health coaching is whether health coaching helps people with irritable bowel disease take their medication more regularly. And that's just the old system it's the only study being done. So this, I think, split between the independent health coaches, which I've been teaching since 2008, my course, and then those institutional ones, is that they're more involved just in following doctors' orders, and they're helpful, and doctors are hiring them, and they're keeping people in line and that sort of a thing, keeping them motivated to do what the doctor says. On the other hand, you have, well, what about everyone else who hasn't gotten better from that system? We have all the people who've been to their physician and told nothing's wrong with you. Your blood work looks normal. You know about those ones, right?
Yeah.
Or they've been to a functional practitioner who said, well, your problem sounds like this. So let's run this one test. Oh yeah, I found something. Let's work on that. And they still aren't better. And so that's back to the type of training that I do for a certain group of independent health coaches who know where to start, which labs to run, how to get to those root causes that you mentioned, which is critical. But there's never one root cause. And all those causes, they're upstream. Some are hidden. Some you may never find. And they're all having an effect upon each other. And some of that's not singly measurable. And so that's why when we look for the underlying causes, the causal factors, we run multiple labs and connect all the dots. And usually when you're talking to that patient or client, they go, wow, I can't believe it. You've dialed me in. I've got hormone problems. I got immune system problems, digestive problems, detoxification problems, and so on. So they have it all going on. Now what do I do? So you sorted me out. And by the way, that sorting out, I call it, instead of root cause, I say metabolic chaos. Multiple root causes having an effect upon each other. So people come to us in a state of metabolic chaos. And we sort them out because I have developed a system over 23 years that helps sort that out. Then what do you do now? Well, you don't want to treat one thing because that never has worked for you and it's never going to work for you. You have to treat the whole person, the body, mind, spirit, soul, every cell, every tissue, every organ, every system. And by the way, simultaneously. Because as soon as you get a diagnosis from a doctor to work on one thing, you're leaving everything else off the table. Well, what about all that other stuff? Well, it all matters. It all has an effect upon whatever that one thing or even two things that a doctor picked out through the diagnosis and treatment model. So basically, we don't treat anything specifically. We treat everything non-specifically. The diet and the rest and the exercise and the stress reduction and the supplementation, all that has an effect on every cell. You simply just get healthier, and whatever that one or two things was also goes away. Just to recap, you have your independent health coaches, you have your what I'm calling the institutional health coaches, and they could help you follow your doctor's orders. But the independent is going to be the one who says, well, I can run these labs like any lab, and we run a series, and I can explain how they have affected you and connect all the dots like they explain, and then what to do about it yourself. Again, in lifestyle medicine. So as long as your problem isn't something that's downward spiraling really fast, because healing takes time. So if you're dying, you better go see a doctor and not die. And then as long as you're not dying, we're going to be able to work around the edges of that and make you really, really healthy, the healthiest that you can get.
Mm-hmm. So if someone's interested in being a health coach, it seems like there's a plethora of programs out there. How do they weed through them? Is there some kind of framework for like different types of health coaching programs?
Yeah, sure. Yes, there are some. And there is a plethora, as you said, or a veritable cornucopia.
I love it.
And so there's a lot of different courses. When we started in 2008, there was 2. And the other one was for licensed practitioners only. So I was the first guy kind of to open up to the lay practitioner. These are highly professional people, or wannabe. They're usually a college degree person, whatever it is. They've matriculated through some program. They also usually have a certificate or 2 in something else. Maybe they started in nutrition, personal training, massage, something helpful. These are do-gooders, people that want to do some good in the world. So they got some education, they got some certification, they got some experience working in a clinic or even for themselves. And then they come to us for the really advanced training in the labs, all the anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, and really understanding what's going on inside a person. Getting the data, which belongs to that person, doesn't belong to their doctor, it belongs to you people. Your data is yours. So, and we know how to interpret it or use it to explain what's going on with you, why you feel so crappy, whatever, all the areas you feel crappy in, not just one. Mm-hmm. And then we apply that to lifestyle medicine. Again, diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, supplementation. So we customize a program for each person. If that's what you're looking for versus someone who's just following doctor's orders, then our course, I always put it up first. What else would I say? Yeah. But then there's others that are working on it. They have different angles. They have different, maybe they specialize in one thing or the other. There's courses, I know there's one lady who I really respect, but hers leans almost all towards the endocrine system and how to coach women through menopause and perimenopause and early menopause, and surgically induced menopause and all that kind of thing. So she's a health coaching course for anyone can take it, but it leans all towards their area. And there's others like that. There's some that give you, I think, a good general basic knowledge. There's some that deal almost all with nutrition. IIN, for instance, we have so many of their graduates go, yeah, that was good, but I need more. I need to be able to get deeper. And so there's a bunch of them around. You should compare them. Money is also an issue. Some are overpriced for what you get. Some are underpriced. I think ours is underpriced. We still are incredibly reasonably priced for what you get, for the amount of training. It's so robust. And you're going to learn all the systems: hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy production, nervous system balance. It's everything that you really want to know. Mm-hmm. And how do I know this? I'll just throw in a little bit of background, Misty. I spent 10 years working in a clinic figuring this out. 10 years seeing thousands of people. That's before I started teaching. So I hammered all the machinations, the logistics of getting labs done and how to explain it to people. I was the patient educator in a clinic, a very busy clinic in Southern California, and thousands of people coming through. And I had to take very complex information and explain it. You can't use 6-syllable words when you're talking to Mrs. Smith, who just cares about her digestion and her bad skin or overweight or fatigue or brain fog or, you can't use 6-syllable words. You've got to just explain it in plain English. And so I was pretty good at that in the clinic. And when I started teaching, people really latched onto it. And now we have this whole community of FDN practitioners. Not to brag too much, but as I look at all the other courses, they've come along. hopefully they're doing some good in the world, and I think they are. And it makes the pie bigger, which is fantastic. I hope more people start coaching courses, because when they want the graduate program, they're going to come to us. Mm-hmm. So yeah, go ahead and start your coaching course. They'll end up saying, I need more, and take FDN. So I think we're the granddaddy. By the way, there's like FMCA, which only teaches the psychology and the active listening and the questions you ask a person, setting their own goals. And they never offer advice. Matter of fact, it's against the rules for them to offer any counseling unless they get some kind of permission first. So your practitioner says you're pre-diabetic. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what kind of goals you'd like to set with regard to your diet. And so they're doing all the pre-work and psychology work. It's good, but they don't run labs. They don't get into the causal factors, the metabolic chaos, sorting it out, and then, explaining exactly what you have the power to do yourself to overcome those issues.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk a little bit more about the root causes crashing into each other, because certainly that's been my experience with my own health journey. And early on, I didn't have anyone uncovering any root cause, right? We just uncovered, whoa, Misty, you've got premature ovarian failure at 38 years old. Here, go on hormones, which honestly, thank God for hormones, because they helped give me my quality of life back. But because we didn't uncover what was deep underneath that was creating the premature ovarian failure, over the subsequent years, I found that hormones alone quit being as effective, because my entire metabolic system was just kind of grinding under the weight of all the toxicity that I was carrying. And, eventually I figured out as a layperson what we really needed to start looking for, and went to my practitioner and really started advocating for myself. So this is something I teach our women to do as well. Get some good education, and then you can really be a great advocate. And I look at some of the tests and the illumination that's come over the last 12 months in my journey. And I wish that I would have been working with someone in the early days who was better informed, who cared about helping me understand what was happening at a deep level that was making me so sick, that was causing my system to break down at such a young age. But I wasn't, and I didn't know what to look for many years. When I moved to Austin, fortunately, we're in a wonderful city where holistic everything is embraced. The lifestyle, the practice of medicine, like everything here is very, very different than the experience that I had living in Nashville. So I was able to find some practitioners and people that could kind of look at my symptoms and read the tea leaves, and maybe look at some blood labs and say, here's some things you need to do. That, by the way, were helpful. But it's like when I know I have a 13.1 mile half marathon journey, right? Or 26.2 mile marathon journey, I found people that could get me to mile 5. Or get me to mile 8, right? But I still have so much further to go. And as a layperson, it took me a while to figure out, oh, here's the kind of practitioner that I'm actually looking for, right? Here's the person. I was working with a nurse practitioner who has taken some courses at the Institute of Functional Medicine, for example, and she was very helpful with my hormones. And fortunately, in the last couple of years, she's going really deep, and she's learning a lot of this deeper stuff and has been able to help me. I've been working with her since 2014, however. So for years, she didn't provide the help that, she's giving to me now. And I didn't know back then, what do I need to look? How do I find this person that can run these labs and tell me what they mean? I looked at, because health insurance is something that most of us have, I would look for doctors that I could get some health insurance coverage with, and maybe they would be able to help me. They're open to the functional medicine paradigm or lens, and maybe they could help me. But now at this point, 11 years into my journey, I look back and I'm like, man, I should have if I would have known, right? And this is what I want you to take away from this, everyone who's listening. I don't want you to spend 5 or 10 years longer on this journey than you already have. And one day it all clicks. And if I would have known, I would like to gift you through this conversation, the aha. So now you know. If I would have known back in Nashville that what I needed was a functional nutritionist who knew how to read labs and help me really uncover what was happening, I could have made a different decision with my financial resources, which I was spending back then in different ways, right? Could have made a different decision. And whoa, where would I be now, a decade later in my journey, not with my metabolism and my endocrine system not damaged from a decade of trying to manage the mold and the metals and the viruses and all the things that have basically invaded my system. I mean, I love and honor and appreciate what my body has done to keep me alive and give me the best quality of life that I could have, right? And I wish I would have known. So this is what I love about your program, Reed. And it's always kind of stood head and shoulders above the other programs that I've come across in my own journey, because there's an emphasis on testing. And what I appreciate about testing is I went to so many alternative health practitioners, right? And spent money on the acupuncture and the different therapies. And, maybe I just need to do more of the cryo chamber, and I need to sit more in the sauna, and, all these therapies, you have to pay for these sessions, and they're expensive. Right. And when I look back, I don't think that the idea of spending money on those sessions was necessarily the wrong thing. I would say there's other conditions that need to be set alongside those to maximize the benefit that you're getting from those sessions, right?
You just, if I could interject here, you just identified the problem 23 years ago when I started in the office. Everybody was going from one practitioner to the next, spending considerable amounts of money. It didn't serve their purpose. It served the therapist's purpose, because they're in business to make money. And hey, try my practice, try what I do, try what I do. So if a person over here was sort of turned away by their physician, or turned off by their physician, turned away in that, hey, there's nothing on your blood work here, even though they feel like crap, they know something's wrong. They're being told by a doctor there's nothing wrong, or they're turned off by the fact that he just picked one thing. Oh, you're hypothyroid, here's your medication, and only wanted to work on that one thing. They still have all the other stuff going on in their life they need to work with. So they go outside to exactly what you just described. I call it the cycle of trial and error. I'm going to try cryotherapy, and they do a few sessions, and I'm not sure if I feel a little better, but I still got blah, and then they go try a chiropractic or acupuncture, or so, even personal training and different diets and different supplements. So they're in the cycle of trial and error. 23 years ago, I'll tell you, I was out riding my motorcycle, and I love my freedom, and I have health freedom and time freedom and all these freedom stuff. And I'm looking at people back at the office thinking, man, they have no freedom. They've put control of their health into someone else's hands, all these different, and they're spending all this money. And that's serving that practitioner's purpose, which is to provide their service or therapy and make money doing it and things like that. But was it really serving them? Was it really serving that person? So I recognized that, and I didn't need money. I'd made millions of dollars in environmental law. I just studied environment and the planet, and I was saving the planet. And I decided to turn my attention to people, and including me. I didn't want to get sick later in life. That was 23 years ago. I'm still in good shape, because I've been studying this thing. So when I decided I'm going to be the last person, again, I was out there riding my bike. The wind is flowing through, my long, beautiful locks. And for
those that are only listening, Reed is bald on top. Yes, there's no wind blowing through.
And I'm thinking, enjoying my freedom, and you know what? I'm going to go back to the office, and I'm going to be the last person these folks need to see. I'm going to end the cycle of trial and error. Now, I was naive. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, but I started running those labs you're talking about. And this is what I wanted to circle back to. It's not the labs. In 23 years, trust me, labs have come and gone. It's what you're looking for and how you interpret the labs that matter. And looking for underlying causes is a good thing, but understanding how they relate to each other. In other words, physicians might go, oh, it sounds like thyroid. They look at that one dot, that one marker, and then they go, there's your problem. And they treat that one problem. Well, we would look at multiple markers and not consider each dot, but how they're related to each other. Connecting the dots is more important. So in the FDN course, it's not, and I don't want to attract people that just want access to labs. There's access to labs from the labs. They'll give you access. They will run labs for almost anybody today. It's become really an interesting game that they're playing, but it's knowledge of what to do and how to correlate that data with a real person that matters. So in FDN, people, yes, you get to run labs on yourself, and then you'll end up being able to run labs with your clients, all your clients think. But we discourage people from signing up just for that. It's to get an understanding of holistic health building, all the principles involved, how to apply them to a person based on the lab work. So it's data directed, but it isn't the data alone that matters. It's how you think about the problem. So you mentioned this interrelatedness between hormones, et cetera. Well, you ever heard of this word stress before?
I may or may not have just done a whole event on stress.
Stress is kind of harmful. Stress has a way of affecting the body, and it doesn't matter what kind of stress. It could be mental, emotional stress. It could be physical trauma and pain, and that's, car accidents, they're stressful. chemistry and biochemistry and the environment, all these things are very stressful. They will throw off your two main hormones, which are cortisol and DHEA. That defines metabolism, catabolic with the cortisol and anabolic with the DHEA. And most people, when they think of hormones, they think of estrogen, testosterone, progesterone. No, there's above that. So you've got to really go back to, how is stress affecting me overall? Is it breaking me down, or does my body have the resilience to balance it out? And people can only take so much beating for so long, and they start to get way out of balance. Mm-hmm. And so you got to go back there. Well, once your hormones are out of balance, your catabolic, anabolic hormones are out of balance. Only then do the sex hormones get out of balance. So you're walking around with symptoms of low estrogen, high estrogen, low progesterone, high, testosterone all over the board and things like that. But it's really this idea of stress and catabolic, anabolic imbalance that matters, because that's what we can have the biggest effect on as holistic practitioners and as people. If you want control of your health and your wellness, get a handle on metabolism. Is it your catabolic or anabolic? There's a balance, and it's natural. Of course, your body's going to break down and build up and break down and build up and break down, and in a very resilient way, with some parameters. Everything else below that, and then once that's out of balance, what else gets affected by the besides the hormones? Well, your immune system. Everyone knows you're sicker when you're more stressed out, and there's direct things you can measure, like secretory IgA. Where does that lie? In the gut, which is 80% of your immune system. And then what happens? You get maldigestion. Then what happens? You get worse infections. Then what happens? You get leaky gut. Then what happens? You get autoimmune conditions. Then what happens? You get a congested liver, and now you're toxic all over the freaking place. I can go on and on and on with this. So when you talk about root causes, you look at the major stressors, and they will fall within this HIDDEN area. So we've got it sorted out. I spent 10 years sorting that out. Why? I wanted to be the last person you needed to see. I only did all the research, all the development of that research, in how to investigate, and the protocols. How can a person fix it themselves so that they're in control, to build up our clinic in Southern California? It wasn't until almost 10 years later I taught my first course. And it was because everyone I talked to said, man, you ought to be teaching. You got an amazing system here. I can't believe it. The vendors, the public, our clients and patients, of course. And so I wasn't reluctantly, but it was a lot of work to teach that first class. Of course, once that happened, it just,
the rest is history.
yeah, you could say that. And that was in 2008. So, we've been going at it for a long time. And now we've deputized FDN practitioners all over the world. It's very exciting. We're doing a lot of good. Yeah. And everyone's welcome to jump on the freight train.
Yeah. So if someone's interested in finding an FDN practitioner, is there a directory or a place they can go?
Well, do you have show notes? What we have is an alumni.
Absolutely. We're going to connect everything in the show notes we talked about.
Put it on the show notes, because I don't memorize all these things. I just show up and talk truth, answer questions, and I have big staff, very helpful. We can help anybody, no matter if you want to become a health coach, you want to hire a health coach, and all these things. But put that in the show notes, and understand that there's a lot of really good people that want to do good in the world. And if they're properly trained, they could help you.
Yeah. Well, Healing Rosie University is developing a program right now. We're bringing in some FDN practitioners to work with women in our community.
Well, then just call Rosie.
Yeah. I'm really excited about us doing this. But some people are going to really resonate with the way we do it. Some people might feel comfortable looking for their own practitioner. So I'll make sure that people have the resources they need, find whatever it is they're looking for. And if you're interested in being a health coach, if you're interested in Reed's program, Reed, why don't you tell us just a little bit about maybe the time commitment, length of time, tell a little bit about the program, and then we'll also include a link for you to sign up for Reed's program, or maybe talk to someone for more information in the show notes as well.
Yeah, I spent those 10 years hammering it out in the clinic. Failures, successes, miracles occurred. And I did all that for 10 years so that you don't have to. You can take our course and do it in 8 to 10 months. And that's been 10 years with trial and error in your own practice. Is
that 8 to 10 months? Is that a full-time program, a part-time program?
It's a self-paced program, so that you can, and I would tell everyone, keep your day job. If you want to be a health coach, or guess what? We have physicians that want to take the FDN course because they want the handcuffs off. They want to be able to really help people without the restrictions that are put upon them by all kinds of different algorithms. But I say, keep your day job, do this part-time in 6, 8, 10 months, And you go through it, you listen, you do the exercises, there's quizzes, there's some really brilliant mentoring. So I've got people who went through my course and said, how can I help? And they wanted to work for me. And so now we have this entire mentorship program. You run all the labs that we recommend on yourself going through it. So if that's the only reason you wanted to sign up, to work on yourself, that would be worth the price of admission. And yet you'd also learn how to be a health entrepreneur, health coach, health practitioner coach, and go out in the world and be successful. There's a follow-up business program and all kinds of support with our alumni group and things. We've placed people in doctors' offices. We've got doctors saying, I will only hire FDN health coaches from now on. We're really practitioners, but they can call us coaches if they want, because we're just happy to be helping people and earning a good living and things like that. So it's a 6, 8, 10 months, depending on how much time you put into it. Awesome. And you can have a little more time than that. But my goal when someone signs up for the course is to deliver the product. I don't want people stringing me out, taking 2-3 years to take my course. And so we don't allow it. We get you through it. And there's a whole teams. But I'll just go back to that mentoring thing. It's amazing when you get your own test results and you've had all the education. Now you're going to go over those test results with a mentor and work on yourself. You get a number of sessions. I think the total mentoring sessions is at 11 or 12 right now. That's a lot of personal one-on-one time, even though it's a self-paced course. Yeah. You get to run the labs. And then we transition you into the alumni group where you're going to get all the postgrad support for running your own business or getting a job, whichever you prefer. You can be institutional, you can be independent, and it's all good with us.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this has been a fantastic, Reed. We're going to include lots of links in our show notes so that you can find a practitioner, learn more about Reed's programs, anything else that we talked about. We'll make sure it's at your fingertips. Just go to healingrosie.com and you can get access to those. And Reed, I appreciate you taking time. This has been wonderful.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on and the work that you're doing with Healing Rosie. Again, like you said in the beginning, we've known each other quite a while. And it's a mutual admiration club. So
yeah, well, I hope everyone got some good gems out of this on how to find a practitioner that is actually going to help you get some traction if you've been spinning your wheels. If you're feeling like I'm working with my doctors and I'm not getting anywhere, I'm not moving along as fast as I'd like to move along, I'm spending a lot of money, I don't have enough to show for it, then I highly recommend opening your mind to other possibilities, because I want all of you to find breakthrough. It's what I want for me. It's what I want for everyone in our community. I want us all to get our lives back, get back to doing the good work that we were put here on this earth to do. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Love you. Bye.
That's it for this week's episode. Thank you for listening. I hope you're feeling more empowered to overcome your flabby, foggy, and fatigued and to reclaim your life. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss any of our episodes. We have some awesome shows coming right up. I love reading your reviews and comments too. They inspire me and encourage other Rosies to hang out with us and learn all these amazing strategies for healing and living our best lives. Till next time, sister. Bye.